Asking me about all the guitars, the instruments that I had in the background on my videos. I believe it was Mike that asked about those. Right there, that's a fish. I don't know how to play a fish because I don't know how to tune a fish. Anyway, this guitar here, I got that at Gruen's Guitar down in Nashville, and actually got that in on a bad trade. I had a Gibson nylon string Chet Atkins model. I forgot the model number, but they took that on trade on this guitar. It was the closest thing that I could afford of a Gretsch Country Gentleman, but this is not a Country Gentleman. It's made in 1978 down in Mexico, and they called it a Southern Belle. And they couldn't call it a Country Gentleman because that's during a time where Chet Atkins went with Gibson, and he owned that moniker, Country Gentleman, so they weren't allowed to use that. They use the same design, except it's got real F-holes. For some reason, the painted on F-holes never were popular. And I made a new pick guard for it. And it says on there, David Tharp, Rural Ruffian. I couldn't use Country Gentleman either, so I just called it a Rural Ruffian. And I made that little brass plate there. I don't know if you can read that or not. It also says Rural Ruffian. Anyway, I've rebound it and put new frets on it, and I made a guitar, a Tele type guitar, and I stole these pickups and put on it. In fact, I've got a video with me playing a song or two on that homemade guitar, and I called it a Tharpcaster. It looks like a Sunburst Tele, and I stole those pickups and put on it, and I made the body out of some 2x8s I got at Home Depot. So I call that my Home Depot guitar. That's in a case in a closet, and I took the pickups back and I restored this guitar with them. I'm playing this guitar on Goodbye World Goodbye on one of the videos. This guitar is a Epiphone jazz box. Really, it's except I put it had a frequency, what they call a frequencator tailpiece on it. I took it off and put a Bigsby. I like a Bigsby, and I put a Tune-o-matic bridge on there. It's got a wooden bridge, ebony bridge, but this is a Epiphone Broadway. It's a kind of a jazz box. Dear friend and brother in Christ gave this guitar to me, bought it for me, Steve Walker, who works on a construction crew. He's down in Puerto Rico right now. And I just talked to him this morning. He called me because he saw some of the tutorials that I made. And this right next to it is a Washburn banjo that Steve also bought for me in a local music store. It's no longer here. Don White's Music Store is where that came from, back a long time ago. Anyway, and the next to it is a Fender Squier Jagmaster, and it's a cross between a Jaguar, Fender Jaguar, and a Jazzmaster. I don't play that one very often, but I play it occasionally. Right there, I had a flight student who was in a band, and he thought I needed a fiddle. So he gave me this old fiddle. It's not worth much, but it's really old. You should see the case. It's I don't know, it's just an old wooden case that you can flop around in there. But I tried to learn how to play a fiddle, but it sounded like I was torturing a cat or something. So I made so much noise, I don't play it much anymore. That thing right next to it, that's some kind of it's a hygrometer indicator. Tells you how much moisture there is in here. This next guitar is an Alvarez. It's acoustic electric. It's I can't remember what the model number is. It's AG75CE. And anyway, it's an Alvarez. It's got a cedar top instead of spruce. It's different. That right there is a small, tiny bagpipe. My daughter and son-in-law went on a vacation, a trip to Ireland, and then they stopped over in Scotland, and they thought I needed a bagpipe. So they brought that back to me all the way from Scotland. Don't have a clue how to play it. I can make it sound like a duck quacking. But you know what happens to ducks that fly upside down, don't you? They quack up. This next guitar is a hybrid guitar. It's also an Alvarez, and it's a cross. But it's got nylon strings. It's like a classical style guitar, except it's got a little thinner neck than a normal classical guitar, and it's not a flat fretboard. It's got like a 12-inch radius to the fretboard, so it plays a lot like a normal guitar. It's an easy transition between, if you're playing regular guitars, it's an easy transition to play that. This next guitar is a Gretsch. It's a reissuance, a 1960 6120 guitar, a Nashville. It's a reissuance. This guitar also was given to me by Bruce Wilson. I ran into him in a grocery store one time, and he was talking about a guitar that he was going to get, and he asked me what I thought about it. Then he asked me what kind of guitar I'd like to have, if I had any guitar I'd like to have. And I told, well, if I could afford it, I'd get me a 6120 Gretsch. He says, and one of these days I might sell my truck to buy one. But he said, sell your truck? And I said, yeah. And he said, oh, how much are they? I said, well, they're at least $2,000. He pulled out his checkbook and he wrote me a check and blessed me with that guitar. Here are some some cases that's got guitars that I'm working on for different folks. This is that Epiphone. It's a DR500 MCE, I think it's the name of it. It's a all solid wood guitar. It's a Masterbuilt, Epiphone Masterbuilt. It's got a spruce top and mahogany back and sides, and it's supposed to be a poor man's D18. It's not a Martin, but it sounds pretty good. And this is a 1962 Gretsch 6122 Country Gentleman that was made in Japan, built in Japan, reissuance of a 1962 Country Gentleman was the guitar that George Harrison brought over with him from England when he was on, I think, the Ed Sullivan Show the first time. Anyway, I play that one a lot. And that down there on the floor, that is a little cheap Johnson mandolin that I borrowed from my son-in-law so I could take some of Jerry's courses on mandolins when they start doing it on Thursday nights. I'm looking forward to that. And this, of course, is the 1967 Gretsch 6119 Tennessean. This guitar, all the binding was falling off and the fretboard was in bad shape and the frets were about gone, and I rebounded it and reshaped the fretboard to 12-inch radius and put new frets on it. Now it's a really fine playing guitar. I really like this guitar. That's one I've been using on the tutorials. Anyway, I just thought the only other guitars I've got, well, when Martin first started importing guitars from, they built them in Japan. It says CF Martin on the inside, but it says on the outside, on the headstock, it says Sigma. I think it's about the same model that Jerry just got through repairing. I've got that in there, and then I've got my Tharpcaster, that guitar that I made out of the 2x8s. Anyway, that's about it. I'll talk to you later. Bye.